We now have the first official answers concerning the ill-fated Ethiopian Airlines plane that crashed last month. Preliminary findings suggest the pilots did all they could to pull the aircraft out of a catastrophic nosedive. 18 Canadians, including a family of 6 from the Toronto area, were among the 157 people aboard who died that day. Renee Filipponi has been watching this morning's report as it was released in Ethiopia's capital, and she joins us from our London bureau. Renee, thanks so much for joining us. Walk us through what investigators have found so far.
Well, John, the main takeaway from this preliminary report is that the crew of the Ethiopian Airlines jet performed all the procedures that were recommended by Boeing when the plane started to nosedive shortly after takeoff, but they were just unable to control the plane. So at the press conference, the transport minister of Ethiopia said that the plane had a standard normal takeoff, that the aircraft was properly certified, the pilots had proper training on the model. That training specifically included the update that was given following that deadly crash of Lion Air 6 months earlier. That's when Flight 610 nosedived into the Java Sea, killing everyone on board. So a preliminary investigation into that crash showed issues with the automated flight control system. Now, the transportation minister said when they did the investigation into this specific crash, they looked at things from the plane's flight recorders, documents from the manufacturer and authorities, and evidence from the scene of the crash. But there is much more work for the team to do, and a full report is expected within the year. It's also unclear at this point if there were any structural issues with the plane. They'll be looking into that as well. But here is what the transport minister had to say today about the purpose of their specific investigation.
The major objective of this investigation is to make sure that there is safety in the aviation sector. It's not to blame someone, and we'll try to make sure that we're going to get the best that we could to make all the people of the world safe in their aviation movement.
So these are the preliminary results. Of course, the Boeing 737 MAX 8's grounded right around the world. Renee, so what's next in the investigation and the review of that particular aircraft?
Well, that's right. The Boeing MAX 8 has been grounded since shortly after this crash, when evidence came to light about similarities between it and the Lion Air crash. So that's 300 Boeing planes sitting at airports across the world. Now, this report out today is calling for a review of the aircraft flight control system by Boeing, and that aviation authorities should verify that review to make sure any issues have adequately been addressed before that MAX 8 is put back into operation. But there are a number of other parallel investigations and reviews going on. We know that the U.S. Justice Department and other officials in the states are looking into the role of the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, who certified the plane back in 2017. They want to know why they didn't ground the MAX 8 when the first crash happened in Indonesia. And then yesterday, we also heard that the FAA announced it would also form an international team to review the safety of that plane. And we understand it will likely include representatives from here in Canada. So it's unclear at this time how long these planes may be grounded for. But we know that Boeing and the FAA signaled earlier this week it may be much longer than people initially thought.